Welcome back.
To Marriage Beyond the Veil.
So, we're having a conversation. We're visiting family, and we're having a conversation about going back in time. And so, sister and brother-in-law each were interested in being able to go back
To their 20s.
where I'm not interested in going back 20 minutes, much less to my 20s. So, got to thinking, what would be the advantages or disadvantages of going back to the beginning of your relationship, particularly for those of us who have been in a love relationship or in a marriage for 10, 20, 30 years. So what would you think would be, well, would you want to go back, first of all? And if so, why?
Well, I think one of the advantages of going back for me, and if I say back to when we first got married, is I might would have sort of stretched that period of time before we had children out a little bit longer.
Okay. Well, and our original plan was to
30.
wait 5 years.
Yeah.
Right? But
I would
around
go
about the
30.
third year, it was like, okay, as I started to get older and there were no children, I was getting too acclimated to the no children part.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, maybe we need to move that 5 years up. If we're going to do this, let's go ahead and do it.
But do you still feel the same way?
Well, I mean, if we're talking about starting like with what the world is now, children would have been off the table completely for me.
Completely off the table.
Completely. Okay. Would not want to be bringing any children into this hot mess.
Yeah, it's sort of toxic.
Yeah, sort of toxic.
Okay, it's very toxic.
Yeah. So, but I mean, so our original plan was 5 years just to have, time for us to be able to pick up and do and go and whatever we wanted, because we knew once a child is
brought into
the equation,
it's completely
then
different.
everything, your focus change, your responsibilities, and all your decisions have to be made with the child in mind, around the child, and everything else.
Yeah. So, I mean, that would be the one thing that I would say, maybe
stretch
at that time. Maybe just a little bit longer, because, I mean, we really didn't get into a real good groove of, just being able to go and, go on vacations and do different things. We were just workhorses.
Yeah.
Basically. And then we had kids.
Well, what was I going to say? Quite honestly, me personally, I'm not really interested in going back. I enjoyed my 20s, my 30s, my 40s. I've enjoyed and had wonderful opportunities, but once is plenty for me.
But would you do anything differently?
Well, if I was going back, I would make some different choices and, focus maybe on some different things. However, with that in mind, still don't want to go back. Not for a day.
Well, I mean, I guess that's where the difference comes in. I think, sometimes when you sit back and look, and I don't believe in going back. I've always told people, they break up in a relationship, I always say, okay, it's done. But in this instance, sort of thinking about maybe I would make some career change differences. I don't know. There's a little bit of thought pattern there, but I really am enjoying where I'm at right now.
As am I.
And
enjoying with whom I am with right now. I mean, and I'm sure that people think, well, if I go back, if I knew then what I know now,
exactly.
That kind of logic, well, that's just not possible, because you have to grow through what you go through to know what you know now. So you couldn't have possibly known it then.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just something.
So what about you? Would you want to go back?
Yeah.
And if so, how far? Would you want to go back and start over? Or would you want to just go back in time for a short time, not a long time?
Exactly.
I don't want to do either. I love where I am. I love where I'm headed. And I'm good.
I'm good too.
So until tomorrow, if the Lord says the same.
Have a good evening.